Hello everybody and welcome to the RC Workbench. I would like to introduce to you the Traxxas TRX-4M, which is a fantastic little rig. First impressions regarding the body. There are plenty of scale details, which is really nice. Right out of the box you have some plastic door handles, a little fuel filler cap. The rivets are accurately represented, so that's all quite nice. The spare wheel looks good, but it does hinder the departure angle. Removal is possible but definite, so you have to make sure about the decision to remove it or not. I personally took it off. The fender flares and barwork is proper solid. They are made of plastic and they are highly resistant, it seems. The roof rack, on the other hand, is a little flimsy, but that's quite alright. It offers some shock protection from heavy falls, I guess. There is a fancy and extremely clever clip system to fit the body to the chassis. I will definitely be taking advantage of this to make a wireless light system. By wireless I mean there won't be any wires in between the chassis and the body. Watch this space. Bumper modification will be a challenge if you want to go DIY, but it's definitely going to be a plus because they are big and they do tend to get caught everywhere, so you can further improve the approach and departure angles by some custom bumpers, so that'll be coming along as well. The winch removal is possible but difficult if you don't have a mill or at least a pillar drill. Number 2, the chassis. There are no inner fenders. I find that highly annoying, and it's the first thing that are made for it. They are made of sheet aluminium, 0.3mm thick, and I shaped them with the trustworthy CAD system, cardboard aided design, as it were. The steering servo sits neatly and is an integral part of the front differential. That's genius! You do have to make sure that wires are clear from it though. They could get caught and hinder the movement and or damage the wires. The front shock absorbers bind quite a bit. I would suggest removing the stock oil and filling with a known viscosity and use that as a baseline for shock tuning. It is something which is extremely important when crawling because it is what links the vehicle to the ground, so shock absorbers are of the utmost importance. I found out that not all shock absorbers were properly filled in the first place. Out of the box, the rear shock absorbers sagged like mad as if the vehicle was fully loaded, so I added the included spring shims and that seems to have solved the problem. The suspension tie rods are dreadfully flimsy. I'll make my own in steel. Watch this space. The third point I'd like to review is the electronics. The ESC is extremely compact and waterproof to a certain extent, I suppose. You can't tune it unless you swap it out for a whole other system, which would require redesigning the entire wiring of the vehicle. There is the space limitation, which is an important factor at this scale. Not having an on and off switch saves space, weight, and certainly made the design of this thing easier. I'm not sure the battery will like it in the long run, but you know, we'll just have to wait and see. The proprietary battery plug means that there are no other options but to buy Traxxas battery packs. I find that so-and-so, but you'll have to live with it. Number 4, the drivetrain. Some people complain about binding steering. It's not as bad as some may say. Do bear in mind, however, that both differentials are fully locked 100% of the time, so turning on hard surfaces induces a lot of strain on the drivetrain. The gearbox comes stock with medium gearing. As with all medium things, they are a compromise in between crawling ability and speed. To be fully honest, I personally find that this TRX-4M sucks at both at crawling and both at speed. It's no good. So something has to be done whether you prefer crawling or bashing. This is designed as a crawler, however, so do bear that in mind. High and low gear sets are available for relatively cheap, but changing them over is tedious and can be time consuming. I would suggest buying gear sets, or better still, complete gearbox and motor sets, just to be able to swiftly switch from one another without messing around with screws, sprockets and so on and so forth, and already having downtime on the bench. Of course, I already modded an alloy gear case to allow it to contain some automotive gear oil. That'll be coming along in the next video. Last but not least, point number 5. Is it worth buying? If you compare it to, say, the Rock Hobby Katana, then definitely yes. It is. It's a product from Traxxas, so it is highly engineered and it's a beautiful little piece of machinery. It's a great way to introduce somebody to the crawling world, although you do definitely have to change the gearing to the low gear, to the low range setting. You can't switch from one to the other on the fly like you can with the 110 counterpart of the Traxxas TRX-4. But yeah, definitely changing the gearing to a crawler gear set makes this a perfect introduction to scale wheeling. The TRX-4M is a great way to introduce anybody to RC crawling and scale building, as it were. Parts are relatively rare for now, but I suppose they will be coming along sometime soon. I will be building my own and modding it as much as I can with the stuff that I have. That's the idea of the RC Workbench. And but yeah, it's definitely something that I would highly recommend if you are into crawling and you want to get your friends familiar with crawling. It's a great way to do so. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for your time. I'm highly looking forward to show you what I already did to it. I did spend a lot of time on the bench as it is, and all of that will be coming along soon. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll be catching you all in the next video. Peace out, everybody. Goodbye.